No, put it on the video first, right? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to FestivalSouth Reimagined. My name is Mike Lapinto, and I am the co-artistic director of FestivalSouth, and am thrilled to be here with you in any capacity, even if it's from my home with lots of cameras and technology around me to make this happen. You know, when we first started thinking about this, we were faced with a dire situation for the entire world that we are still faced with, and that was COVID-19. And it took away our ability to gather together, our performing venues, our capacity to do many things in the arts as well as many things all over. And we understand that many of you out there watching have not been working, have been at home. We're all wearing masks now and being very careful for our neighbors. But that's not something that we know how it's going to fix itself in the future. And as we were planning all of this, we thought maybe we can stream, maybe we can do something to put together. And the incredible artists that were part of FestivalSouth this summer that was intended to start tonight with the production of Kinky Boots and continue through June 27th were just amazing in giving us content and being with us in live interviews throughout the month of June. So I hope you'll plan to join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 7:30. We have Movement Mondays at noon, and we have a couple of little specials along the way. So make sure you're following us on Facebook. If you're not doing that now and just visiting, make sure you're following our social media. We will post everything there as it happens, because even tonight you're going to find out there's some things that happen in the moment and it's live. So we apologize now if there's any problems and snafus along the way, and we'll do our best to make it all work for you. I would be remiss if we really didn't acknowledge the current state of race relations in our country. I didn't know if it was the right time, and really am not sure when the right time will be to be broadcasting. What I do know is that without a doubt, FestivalSouth has been and will always be a place where artists and arts lovers are safe to create and express their passion. And we're thinking of you. So tonight, we'd like to share with you what these generous creatives have been working on, much like me, from their home. And we couldn't do anything FestivalSouth without speaking to one of the creators of FestivalSouth and the co-artistic director. And as I said, technology is unusual, and so we couldn't get him to connect on Skype, but we do have him live here, and that is Dr. Jay Dean. Hello.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
I think you're going to have to mute your computer, possibly,
okay.
if it's not muted.
All right. Okay.
There we go. That's much better. We were getting a little bit of feedback, and I hope people can hear you here. So Jay, you and I were both there at the very beginning, but you were in the very first meeting. Tell us a little bit about FestivalSouth and what we're doing with FestivalSouth now.
Well, FestivalSouth has grown and has flourished over the past decade. We are now into our second decade, as many people know. I started FestivalSouth in my conference room in my little office and 3 giant whiteboards, and just sat down and filled it up with ideas about what would appeal to people young and old, what would appeal to children, what would appeal to people who go to classical concerts or popular music concerts, things that would appeal to art lovers, to theater lovers, to dance lovers. And we came up with the largest and longest running multi-arts festival in the state of Mississippi. When I first began talking about it, there were people who told me that there was no way that we could make this thing last more than a weekend. But as we all know, that it goes on for 2 weeks every June, and we've talked about expanding. In fact, we have expanded it this year. So, and we've had every kind of artistic music and art and theater and dance, all kinds of things over these years. And I'm very pleased that we've been able to do that for the city of Hattiesburg and for Forest County and our whole area. It's been and we're very fortunate to be in a community that supports the arts. We're very fortunate to be in what I consider to be one of the most progressive cities in our state, and it's a city that's forward thinking and really embraced the FestivalSouth idea over a decade ago, and we've been going strong ever since. And of course, this virus has made us change the way we do things this year, but we expect to continue this year and be back stronger and stronger than ever next year. So we certainly appreciate the support that this community has given us, and we certainly want to do everything we can to keep the arts alive in our community and the whole state, and participate in what I feel is one of the most valuable artistic projects in the state of Mississippi.
Thank you so much. I know that one of the things, if you follow us and are sort of in tune to our social media, we never stopped working. We were really on the edge of announcing FestivalSouth. In fact, I was in production for a show at Southern Miss, and I was so excited that I had finished the brochure, finished the posters, finished everything that was ready to go, because that's sort of on my plate with FestivalSouth. And we were about to send it to the printer, and we were all headed to spring break when all of this really hit Hattiesburg in our city. But we immediately set to work with figuring out what to do. One, to keep ourselves safe, two, to keep our audiences safe, and then our performers and everything that was already invested in what we were doing this summer. And like I said, we're grateful for people that are moving on. With us into next year, June 2021, almost every performance that was scheduled for this year is moving over. We had great people. All of our sponsors and donors just said, yes, just slide everything over. Our patrons were amazing that had bought out tickets for almost sold out performances of Kinky Boots and the Motown downtown concert. Everybody just said, just slide my tickets over to next year. And many people said, just keep it. But some of the things that we also did was a fundraising effort you were behind, and that was through the HCA that involved William Carey and University. Tell us real quickly about that.
For over 3 decades now, the School of Music has been bringing international students from around the world to study music in the state of Mississippi. There are many students and families that don't know anything about Hattiesburg, Mississippi, except that they have a very fine music school here, and we have 2 very fine universities that offer degrees in music. And between USM and William Carey, we've been graduating people in music performance and music education for over 100 years. So we are very, very. It's very important for us to be able to bring people here from around the world. In fact, when the symphony published its book 10 years ago now, the title of the book was Bringing the World to Mississippi, because we did that in 2 ways. We brought international artists to Mississippi, and we brought students from around the world. Now, the COVID-19 virus has made it impossible for some of our international students to return to their homes. They can't get flights, borders are closed. They're in Hattiesburg. They weren't planning to stay in Hattiesburg for the summer, but they're in Hattiesburg for the summer because they have nowhere else to go. So we reached out to the community and our art supporters and raised a considerable amount of money to help these students with food and rent, those kinds of things, so that they could survive over the summer. Some do live alone, but some have families, some have children. And of course, another impact of this virus is the fact that people, their families in their home countries who were helping support them are no longer able to do that. Just like people in America, many of those families have lost their jobs, have lost income, and it's this virus is, as we all know, has been a hardship on everyone everywhere, and our international music students are no different. And so it was very important that the Hattiesburg Concert Association and FestivalSouth do what it could to raise money to help these students from the University of Southern Mississippi and from William Carey University. And we're very appreciative of the people who made very nice contributions to help make that happen. And so our students, because of our supporters, our students are safer here.
Thank you so much. And we're continuing those efforts. You'll see on your screens, hopefully, a Donate Now at FestivalSouth.org, the big red button. We've done festival fundraisers, or not festival fundraisers, HCA fundraisers throughout the month of May. We're continuing now in June. So anytime you see us, anytime you visit FestivalSouth.org, anything you can do to help, please click on that button and make a donation. Because I think what some people don't realize right now is those students, our performers, even though things are slowly starting to open back up, most and many of our artists, our symphonies, our operas, our musicals, I'll leave something out, our dance companies, where people normally gather together and interact together, they're not going back. And the projection for it is, depending on what day and who you talk to, a little bit dire or hopeful. And we're staying hopeful with this, but we definitely want to be able to survive to bring things to our community in the future. And speaking of our community, also with us this evening is Mayor Toby Barker, and we'll get him on the line. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, how's it going, Mike?
Good. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. And I just want to personally commend you on what you've been doing. Having been here through Katrina and through the tornadoes, and plural, I say that it's never easy in any leadership position and in a seat like that. I can't imagine. I know some of the folks that work with you in our PR and marketing world, and I every day I just go, I hope you're okay. Please take care, because I know it's just a lot going on. But what has quarantine life been like for you?
I think it's the word I can use to describe it is just different. There's been so many different. It's been kind of a crisis for 2.5 months now, and it never. You're just managing day to day, wondering what's going to pop up next, and there have been several low points, but I've been impressed with the resilience of our folks. I'll also say that I've never been around for so many bath times and bedtimes for my kids since they've been alive, and so that's been one sort of unplanned blessing. But I will say it's been very different, and we've adjusted. All of us have adjusted in terms of our lifestyles and our habits, and this has definitely disrupted what we all were used to, and so I think different is the word I can use.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I didn't say anything for a long time, and I think this is something that needs to be said as well, is none of us really knew what to do with this, I don't think. There's no book that preps you or no upbringing to think about these kinds of things. You do have the train next door to you there. But I did say that the one thing I've been able to do is actually read books. I've watched Netflix more than I ever have in my life. And it's sort of become, I've seen series that people used to tell me about, but I was always in rehearsal pretty much. So it's been a really interesting time, and I've tried to use it mostly for good. I tell people I'm an achiever. I didn't do COVID-19. I've done the at least COVID-25 here, so we've got to do something about that. But what is something you sort of miss the most?
I think just being in community with people, being in the same space. I think back to just the real high points of last year. I remember the Lumineers at the Sanger, and I've never, felt that much energy in that room before. And the shows with Festival South, the other concert series that we had. I remember I miss, the 8,000 people we had downtown for New Year's Eve. I mean, it was all, we were never afraid to be in and around each other. And so to not have Live at 5, to not have, not to be able to meet up for lunch somewhere without thinking about it, without wondering if I'm standing too close. And it's just a weird feeling that I hope that, at some point we can get past and move on.
So I think this may be the same question, but same answers a little bit. But what are you looking forward to most?
Not wearing a mask. I think that's the big thing. But just the mindset of being, and I know it's going to take a long time for us to all get there, but to be able to walk into a crowd and be okay with it and not think about it and not worried about what you're going to take home to your family, and just seeing everyone in the same space again, and not having to report things like infections and ICUs and deaths on a regular basis. I think those things are. I'm ready to move past that, but our folks are resilient in the city, and we will continue to do what is necessary until we beat this thing.
Well, something we've always talked about is the importance of arts to this community, and we appreciate everything your administration has done and to embrace the arts community here. We have such an amazing collective of folks that I think even now more than ever have been really close. I've talked to more of my colleagues in other areas of the arts recently, and I think we're all just so busy than I ever have in a while. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your vision and the importance of like FestivalSouth and the arts to this community, and how we'll pull through the arts.
Well, I think it's the arts are definitely one of the cornerstones of our strengths. I think it's also the definite path forward to where we want to go as a city, and to being that premier city in the Gulf South. And I think about the economic impact that the arts had, and just in quality of life that we all loved. I think about the orchestra, and I think about getting the calendar for FestivalSouth and trying to pick out which events you're going to make, and trying to make sure which events my mom can get to, and just it was a fun experience to have those 2 or 3 weeks where the showcases all of what Hattiesburg has to offer, a lot of local talent too, and so I know that during this time, particularly, especially this first few weeks when we were all shut down and no one really knew what to do with themselves, and everybody was like taking walks for the first time in ages. And I remember David Gustafson doing the Live from a Safe Distance series somewhere, and just I think the hope that brought, the comfort that it brought people to still be able to access artistic and beauty and to find an outlet for all the really complicated things that we're feeling right now. I think the arts, beyond the traditional economics and excitement and quality of life and social life that it gives us, I think during this time it's really given us an outlet for some really complicated emotions during this pandemic.
Well, thank you so very much for being with us tonight. We know you have lots of things to do. Jay has left us. We were having technical difficulties, as you realize, and he was on the phone. We thank you, Dr. Dean. Mr. Mayor, thanks for being with us. We hope you'll all tune in and keep watching, and we'll be right back after this.
And people stayed home and read books and listened and they rested and did exercises and made art and played and learned new ways of being, and stopped and listened more deeply. Someone meditated, someone prayed, someone met their shadow, and people began to think differently, and people healed. And in the absence of people who lived in ignorant ways, dangerous, meaningless, and heartless, the earth also began to heal. And when the danger ended and people found themselves, they grieved for the dead and made new choices and dreamed of new visions and created new ways of living and completely healed the earth, just as they were healed.
And we're back. We hope you enjoyed that. I think I can watch that over and over and over. It's really an amazing thing, and grateful to all of the people who helped put that together. It'll be up on our YouTube channel tomorrow, so you can share it, and you should go check out everybody who was involved with that. This was the point where I was going to tell you a really fun story about Sandy Patty. I'm going to have to save that story. Just moments before we went on the air, Sandy texted me, and she had just gotten out of the hospital. Unfortunately, she had gotten dizzy, and she had have an MRI. She is doing well, and she is going to reschedule with us very soon. I actually had a bigger surprise for her that I had to put off with another guest who was going to join us, but we will let you know the minute that she is back. She is doing okay. She sends her regrets, and we will get her back in. That's the joy of live things, but again, we wish her the best, and we will see her again during Festival South. We're sorry if you tuned in just to get her. However, in her place, and it's very fitting that this has to deal with the cast of Kinky Boots and all, and if our cast is out there watching, I think you're going to get a kick out of this. Everybody always accuses me of having all these famous friends and people that I talk to, but this one is a friend of Tammy Mansfield, and she was able to connect with this gentleman, but I'm just going to let him introduce himself. Enjoy.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to be with you. My name is Ian Weinberger, coming to you from New York City, where I live and work as the music director of Hamilton on Broadway. But before that, I was very lucky to be a part of the Kinky Boots family. I got my hat out just for you. I was a rehearsal pianist and sub-conductor and sub-musician for Kinky Boots on and off for most of their run on Broadway. Or at least the first several years of it. And I loved being in that family so much, and it's one of the most special experiences of my life, and so that's why I'm glad to be here with you tonight to talk a little bit about Kinky Boots. Quarantine life, as of right now, has been very odd for me, as I know as it has for many of you. I have been lucky to stay healthy, and my family is healthy, and my close friends are healthy, and I have, obviously we're not doing our Broadway show anymore. So the downshift in hectic nature of life was something to really get used to, but I feel comfortable in that now. I'm doing my best to stay a little busy with a few little side projects here and there, and I'm doing a little arranging, a little orchestrating, some practicing. But mostly I'm enjoying doing that stuff that I always promised myself I would try to make more time to do. I'm trying to read more, trying to binge watch more. I'm in the middle of season 2 of The Wife, which is amazing. And I'm just loving cooking more because I don't get to do that as much when I'm at the theater at night. So that has been really fun. The thing that I miss the most and the thing that I look forward to the most is getting to play music with people again. I miss it so much. And I've been able to collaborate on a few projects here and there remotely. We've put all sorts of videos together with people playing in their houses, and I've sent some tracks back and forth with people, and that's all well and good, and that's been enjoyable, and it's been a nice, refreshing teaser, but it's not the same. I miss getting to be in the room and really making music together with people. That I know I will never take for granted again when this is all over. Because it is something that I took for granted when it was just like the thing I did is I play music and all my friends play music and we show up and we play music together. And I never really thought twice about it, and I'm sure that I will not think twice about it again. Kinky Boots is so special, and I'm so excited for all of you to get to experience it. I was with it, like I say, on and off for probably 5 years. And I, a lot of my friends eventually came to see it with or without me. My family came a bunch of times. My parents love Kinky Boots. My dad especially loves Kinky Boots. I think one of the things that is so brilliant about it is that it really reaches every person on some level, because on the surface the show is about drag queens and a shoe manufacturer, which is not relatable to many people, but the show is enormously human, and what you realize as especially the second act unfolds is that the show is about humanity and friendship, and what does it mean to work with people and connect with people and interact with people that you're not close to or that maybe you're really different from, and what is it like to try to walk in their shoes, forgive me, and really like learning about people that are different from you, which is such an important message, and I think becomes more and more important by the day. And it is a show about friendship and love and those things. And one quick story is that I was on tour with the show, and I got to do the show in Des Moines, Iowa. And I remember there was an amazing particular Sunday matinee where the audience was so electric. By the end, we had this standing ovation in the middle of the finale, not at the end of the show, in the middle of the finale, and the whole place was on its feet, which was really special. And someone in our cast got a note from someone who was in that audience days later who said, "We are so grateful that you would take the time to come to Iowa and share this story with us. It's so important. It means so much to us. We have loved it so much." And that really gave us such a warm heart to think about traveling the country and sharing the message of Kinky Boots. Not to mention the music of Kinky Boots is so fun. It's an amazing, amazing show. I'm so jealous because I want to do it again so badly. I can't wait to hear how your production goes. Thank you for having me tonight. Best of luck with your production. Can't wait to hear about it. You change the world when you change your mind.
and people stayed home and read books and listened and they rested and did exercises and made art and played and learned new ways of being and stopped and listened more deeply. Someone meditated, someone prayed, someone met their shadow, and people began to think differently, and people healed. And in the absence of people who lived in ignorant ways, dangerous, meaningless, and heartless, the earth also began to heal. And when the danger ended and people found themselves, they grieved for the dead and made new choices and dreamed of new visions and created new ways of living and completely healed the earth, just as they were healed.
I'm Kelsey Bushwick. I'm a Mississippi native from the Gulf Coast. Well, I was excited to be asked to participate in FestivalSouth, and of course the first thing that I was thinking about with how to connect with the concept was my experience with Hattiesburg. I've spent a lot of time on the Leaf River in the woods playing music myself, and I always kind of have this like myth that I tell myself about this man in the river who's perpetually playing music for all of time. And I've done several paintings and drawings of this river myth man, and kind of showed up again in this work. I thought it would be interesting to give him a kind of unique instrument. So he's playing the banjo-lele, a little small banjo-ukulele mix. And I kind of worked with the idea of the appearance of kinky boots in the festival to just give him these vibrant boots to ground him into the river. So he's very much a part of nature and participating in the landscape. And that's kind of how I spent my time here in Hattiesburg, always outside, enjoying the beauty that is offered here. So the color in this painting, it actually came in response to an actual sunrise that I experienced as I was starting to conceive this idea. I was really struck by this kind of lemon yellow that happened one morning. I don't think I've ever seen that color before in real life until that day. And it became this kind of surreal experience that I was having, and that I wanted maybe the viewer to be able to touch into. So it's just this really vibrant springtime, early springtime colors, and kind of just pushing that surreal moment of being integrated with everything. So like there's this swooping, like he's kind of swooping into the trees are becoming into the atmosphere, so everything is connected in a way. And I wanted to play with that with the colors too. So even his jeans, his shirt, it becomes kind of atmospheric, or like the river, like the landscape. So trying to push that connection. I'm always thinking about the nature of water and the fluidity of water and the contrasting nature of the different elements. But I feel always quite drawn to water and that kind of ability for it to reflect our stories and our moments. And I always think of water when I'm in Hattiesburg for some reason because of the rivers. When I think of creativity in relationship to the pandemic, my experience has been to, take an initial pause and assess what is most important to me as a creator, not to just create compulsively. So it's been actually a really beautiful time to step back and reintegrate into the vision process of creativity. So obviously sometimes it just comes and it flows, and other times it really starts with how I feel like creativity starts with how we see life and how an artist sees life. So I've been really cultivating that direct contact with the places that I'm in, the kind of empathy that I feel for the situation, and allowing it to slow down a little bit. So, yeah, I always think of creativity as a kind of technology of what we can create with what we have. So in that way, I also think this time has really brought us back to what is essential. It's not always about maybe the product or the object or the show, but also that kind of fulfillment and relationship with the medium directly. We're kind of coming from this time, the past few years have been really hard with all the challenges we're facing with minorities, Me Too movement, just everything's kind of come up in the past few years. And I feel like it's been a kind of time of lamenting. And I hope that on the other side of this, that we can come to really celebrate the sacredness of diversity in life and spread more color and light through our art.
Good evening, everyone. Again, we're back. And as I mentioned earlier, tonight would have been the opening night of FestivalSouth with Kinky Boots. We were so excited to be able to get the rights to do this. Some of you may have seen our promotions that Todrick Hall even commented out on us. We talked to Jerry Mitchell, who actually said congratulations. So many things, and we might have a few surprises up our sleeve as we get into another broadcast about Kinky Boots on Saturday as well. So we split it up because this would have been a 3-night show of Kinky Boots. So we're going to do it tonight and then again Saturday night at 7:30. But I always wear my jacket to opening night. We have to have a fun jacket. But people have known the past couple of years, I always wear some fun shoes. And of course, I had these shoes. I've had them for a while because we're doing Kinky Boots, and there they are. Except, can you see? Yeah, I was ready for this. So joining us tonight in our Kinky Boots talkback is my partner in crime, Miss Tammy Mansfield. She was the music director of Kinky Boots and my partner at Hub City Players. And one of our leads in this, who you just heard sing a minute ago, Mr. Joe Van Zant. Hey guys, you like my shoes?
Fantastic.
I had already seen them.
Spoil sport. Play along. So I know that this has been, we talk about this. I feel like I was in the middle of a show that didn't get to go up. Thankfully, we were able to record the dress rehearsal, and suddenly when we knew we weren't doing FestivalSouth, I mean, you guys were some of the first that I let know. I gave a heads up. We tried to potentially move it, all sorts of things, because if you didn't know, I was directing that show for Hub City Players. And I mean, it's been a tough time for everybody. So what has quarantine life been like for you? Let's start ladies first. Tammy.
Well, I'm married to a healthcare worker, so I have been overly cautious. I have literally not left my house. I haven't gotten gas in 4 months. I haven't driven. I've just been really sticking close to the house. My kids have been coming to see me, but you know, they've kind of been quarantined too, so they're the only people I'm seeing. I finally got to see my mother last week, and that was really nice, but we sat in like the four corners of the backyard and yelled at each other. So that was our visit.
And you found hair and makeup, I see. She's going to kill me. Thanks. 6 feet. 6 feet, please. Stay back. Joe, what about you? What's quarantine life been like for you?
Well, my girlfriend Sarah and I are pretty much homebodies anyway, so for us, quarantine life has been pretty much like life before quarantine. It hasn't been much of an adjustment for us, but I know that that's not the case for everybody. I was also fortunate being a public school teacher that I continued to be paid, and Sarah works in a nursing home, so she's continued to work, and I know that not everybody's had that luxury. So,
yeah, I told somebody that I can't complain very much because I feel like we're very, very, very lucky. Guys, what are you missing the most other than kinky boots? We know that. I think we all are going through withdrawals still. And as I saw on my calendar, dress rehearsal, and then everything that was coming up, it was just a little bit nuts. And I had to go erase them because I would be having a great day and it'd say, leave for rehearsal. Really? So, but what other things are you missing?
Well, this is the first time in a really, really, really long time that I didn't post my, it's the day of the show, y'all. I do it for every show. So that was kind of sad. And I had going on tonight. For some reason, it took me until about halfway through the day. This was supposed to be opening night, and it got really sad from there. And I think in my list of things that I've missed the most during this whole ordeal, I miss being outside at restaurants with people and being able to gather. I miss driving. I haven't driven anywhere because I've been staying, so close to the house. I went out at 2:30 in the middle of the night and just drove for an hour. I missed it so bad. But the biggest thing that I miss, other than, friends and family, is rehearsing. It's our life. It's what we're used to. It's what happens at the end of the day. It's how my whole day of cycle goes. And without having that ever, I can't remember what day of the week it is. Life revolves around rehearsing. And I miss it. I miss sitting there for 3 hours and not doing anything, just being in the room where we're rehearsing and creating and putting a show together. And I think that's been the thing that I've missed the most.
Joe?
I've been my nights home, but...
Yeah. Joe?
I can't not say something about kinky boots because, when I realized that today would have been our opening night, it was pretty devastating. I'm really heartbroken. We have an incredible cast, and it's just a shame that we're not getting to share that with people tonight. But apart from that, the things that I've really missed are, I'm a public school teacher. I teach math at Purvis High School, and the year ended so abruptly, and I really miss my students. And there were a couple of national debate tournaments that I had some students that qualified for, and I was looking forward to attending those. And my friends, seeing all of you in person, lots of things. Hi.
Yeah, I would say I think we'd also be remiss in saying that I feel like many people listening to this that are stuck at home that don't have jobs, as we said, that are facing our musicians, some of them that are facing really sparse realities of paying the bills and lights. I mean, and it may sound like we're being glib talking about missing a show or missing that. And I hope you know that that's not the case. And something that I had to come to terms with, I think, is you sort of get to grieve where you are in different things. And it's not saying one thing is more or less than the other. Obviously, there are some things that are just essential to life that are a problem for many people right now. But we all have gone through different stages of grief, I think, in losing the show, losing our freedoms to do what we normally do. And for those like me, many times, and you guys who are tied to our livelihood is tied to our sort of passion, it's a tough thing. And I try not to watch the news a whole lot because it's scarier every day sometimes. But I do know that one of the things that was, I was talking to my friend Tony Lyman earlier today about all of this, and we both just said, boy, Kinky Boots would have been the perfect show for right now. Just the perfect show. You want to tell us a little bit about the show? For those who don't know, let's talk about that. What's this show about? Tammy, maybe start, because I know we've talked about this once before. Of course, we produce it, so.
Well, rather than actually explaining the story of the show, I'd rather tell you what I've gotten from the show. And the thing that has stood out the most to me And after the last week that our nation has gone through, the word that stands up to me is acceptance. Acceptance and tolerance and learning about something outside of your circle. You know, the show is about love and family. It's about bullying. Bullying things that you don't understand because they're different than you. And, you know, and accepting help from people that are different than you and giving help to people that are different than you. And I think if there's anything that we've learned in this last week, which, like you said, this would have been the perfect show for right now, is that we have to start seeing people who are not like us through different eyes. We need to start seeing the things that are different about them are what makes our world so wonderful, you know? And the overwhelming, you know, differences that we have are the things that we have to step out of our comfort zone and learn about them, to learn to love. But the overwhelming bottom line of the whole thing is, hey guys, we're all still just humans. And we have, you know, we've got to find a way to say, okay, I'm going to stand in your shoes today. I'm going to see what your life is like. And I just, the message of this show is so powerful and uplifting. And if you have ever felt rejected about anything in your entire life, no matter what the circumstance was, that's what this show deals with, is rejection and people accepting other people and loving them. So,
Joe, want to tag into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tammy hit on right at the beginning the word that the show is for me, which is acceptance. And, you know, I think that acceptance is always topical, but it's been particularly topical recently. And the show is not only about accepting others, but about accepting yourself too. And I know that that's something that oftentimes people struggle with, to accept themselves. And so that's a powerful message of the show as well. But I did want to say one thing you kind of alluded to, Mike, a little bit ago, you know, how it may seem trivial to talk about missing a show with all the other things that are going on in the world. And I guess certainly it is trivial in comparison to some things. But I think that if there's anything that we've learned while being trapped at home and forced to watch lots of TV and listen to lots of music, it's that the art is not trivial. It's integral. And I know that I would not have been able to make it through this time trapped at my house without the incredible art that exists in the world that I consumed, that sustained me during this time. So.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm going to surprise you with something from our video vault and everybody. I know you've only gotten one song from Joe, but you're getting ready to get a whole host of songs over the next 20 or so minutes. And we're going to throw back to a show that the Hub City Players did. It actually is the winner of the American Prize in Musical Theater. And boy, does it talk about getting along with people that are very different than you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And here's something from our vault from James and the Giant Peach and some of our great cast of Kinky Boots.
This is never gonna work.
Hey seagulls, over here! Check this out! If you are viewing me in your bird's eye view, I brought a sweet little treat that's just for you. Here to tease and make you squirm, slightly seized and nice and firm. Come and squeeze a luscious little worm.
Plump and juicy, you're yummy, gummy, plump and juicy. Put me in your tummy, plump and juicy, so delicious. Take a peek and open that beak for plump
and juicy. I can keep you chirping plump and juicy. When it's me you're slurping, come and get some plump and juicy. Well, at least we tried. I guess I got hungry.
Whoa! Come on, Earthworm, you can do it! Give you double the flesh and twice the snack.
Start dividing a worm into grow back.
Is it a boy? Is it a girl? The never-ending fancy feast.
Bring a friend or 12 at least.
Oh, don't pretend I'm not a handsome beast. And I'm so
Plump and juicy.
I don't mean to flaunt it.
Plump and juicy.
But you know you want it.
Plump and juicy and nutritious.
Once you peck your back and front side.
Plump and juicy.
See your eyes are bulging.
Plump and juicy.
You can help indulge it. Come let loose all plump and juicy.
La 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 la.
Come here, seagulls, let's ruffle some feathers.
I.
Ooh, this feels good. Qué bonito your papicita.
Plump and juicy. Plump and juicy.
Ven conmigo, mama.
Plump and juicy.
So burgers, you can't skip the fish, 'cause I fulfill your every wish. Come try this, that's so delicious. Plump and juicy.
Plump and juicy. Plump and juicy. Plump and juicy.
Given me enough time in my life to grow up. Time be my friend. Let me start again. Suddenly my world's gonna change its face, but I know where I'm going. I have had my mind around in space, and yet I've watched it growing. Oh, if you're listening, God, please don't make it hard to know that we should believe in things that we see Should we try and stay, or should we run away? Or would it be better just to let things be? Living here in this brand new world might be a fantasy, but it's taught me to love, and it's real, so real to me. And I've learned that we must look inside our hearts to find a world so full of love, like yours, like mine,
Where do you go when you're flying away? Where do you go when they can't make you stay? Over the garden and scraping the tops of the trees. On your way home. What is it like looking down on the beach? Staring through the sky out of everyone's reach. Suddenly free like a leaf playing tag with the breeze. On your way home. On your way home. When you get there, is it perfect? And when you get there, is there family waiting for you? I close my eyes and see them laughing, telling jokes, playing games. All of it true. How would they feel if your friend James came along too? Where do you go when you start to feel sad? Everyone gone, no more, no more dad. Up in the clouds, is there somewhere you won't be alone? And when you get there, is it perfect? And when you get there, is there someone waiting for you? May I hold on to your wings and come to you on your way home?
I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key, before I make the mistake, before I lead with the worst of me. Give them no reason to stare, no slipping up if you slip away. So I've got nothing to share, no, I've got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned, On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass. I'm waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear. So I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass. I'm waving through a window. Can anybody see Is anybody waving back at me? We start with stars in our eyes. We start believing that we belong, but every sun doesn't rise, and no one tells you where you went wrong. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? Because I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? It's like I never made a sound. Did I ever make a sound? On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? Is anybody waving? Whoa, whoa.
And people stayed home and read books and listened and they rested and did exercises and made art and played and learned new ways of being and stopped and listened more deeply. Someone meditated, someone prayed, someone met their shadow, and people began to think differently, and people healed. And in the absence of people who lived in ignorant ways, dangerous, meaningless, and heartless, the earth also began to heal. And when the danger ended and people found themselves, they grieved for the dead and made new choices and dreamed of new visions and created new ways of living and completely healed the earth, just as they were healed.
I
stranger in white in a car going somewhere, going far. How it must feel to go racing wherever you please, flying as free as a bird with his tail in the breeze. Even the fish in the sea must be longing to fly, catching a glimpse of a stranger in white racing by. Oh God, are you there? What can I do to get you to look down and give in? Oh God, hear my prayer. I'm here in the field with my feet in the ground and my fate in the air, waiting for life to begin. Mama's contented and Tauntaun accepts what he gets, happy for tea and the cups and no holes in their nets, happy to have what they have and to stay where they are. They never even look up at the sound of a car. A stranger racing down their beach, racing to places I was meant to reach. My stranger, one day you will arrive. Your car will stop and in a hop and off we'll drive. We'll drive. Oh God, please be there. Don't you remember your little Timon from the tree? Wake up, look down, hear my prayer. Don't single me out and then forget me. Oh God, let me fly. Send me to places where no one before me has been. You spared my life, show me why. You get me to rise like a fish to the bait, then tell me to wait. Well, I'm waiting for life to begin, waiting for life to begin.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. At long last, love has arrived, and I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. Pardon the way that I stare. There's nothing else to compare. The sight of you leaves me weak. There are no words left to speak. But if you feel like I feel, please let me know that it's real. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. And if it's quite alright, I need you, baby, to warm the lonely night. I love you, baby. Trust in me when I say You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. At long last, love has arrived, and I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I love you, baby, and if it's quite alright, I need you, baby, to warm the lonely night. I love you, baby. Trust in me when I say, oh, pretty baby, don't bring me down, I pray. Oh, pretty baby, now that I found you, stay and let me love you, baby. Let me love you. You're just too good to be true.
Oh, no. Don't you dare! Girl, I'm warning you. No. I think I have a crush. I can't! I think I'm falling for him. Oh, no. Why not? Women have been making bad choices since the beginning of time. Are you gonna be another one of mine? I used to think you were from outer space. Who's this bright-eyed guy in your place? You're kinda cute when you're not so shy. But I've been here before. Have I come back for more? Another chapter in the history of wrong guys. You used to be so a little lackluster boy, but now you're changing into something I just can't ignore. Charlie, honestly, I've been hurt like this before. Is there really more to you than what I always thought? How can you surprise me anymore? He's got a girlfriend, you flake. Why are they always nice when they're unavailable? Don't wanna be another star-crossed lover. We all know how that ends. I'm better off without him. We're better off as friends. Oh, but I've been here before. Have I come back for more? Another chapter in the history of wrong guys. Yesterday, no spark, no heartache galore. But today I'm feeling something I just can't ignore. Charlie, honestly, I've been hurt like this before. The history of wrong guys. Chapter 1, he's a bum. 2, he's not into you. 3, he's a sleaze. 4, loves the girl next door. 5, loves the boy next door. 6, don't love you no more. Makes you insecure, makes you so unsure. Is so immature, loves his mother more. Or has a girlfriend named Nicola. Charlie, honestly, I've been hurt like this before. traumatized.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I want to thank Jay Dean, Toby Barker, Tammy Mansfield, Joe Van Zant, the Hub City players, and we want to send a shout out to Sandy Patty. Hopefully she'll be back with us sometime this month, because we're running every night, every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday night, that is, at 7:30, Mondays at noon, and there's some special things. You have to follow us on social media. So if you're watching on Facebook, make sure you're following us and make that happen. I want to make sure I thank all of our Festival South staff and the Hattiesburg Concert Association who make all of this possible. We want to also thank you for watching and thank you for your support. Please take a moment and visit FestivalSouth.org, click on the big red button, and support these artists in any way you can. Every little bit helps. If you've been watching tonight, please take a moment and go give us a little bit of something to make sure we're here with you in the future. Make sure you join us Saturday at 7:30 for even more from the Hub City Players cast of Kinky Boots, some more very special guests, and an amazing project that they have all been working on. There's so many things that are now starting to open up. Don't forget that the Hattiesburg Zoo opens tomorrow, and we have a surprise extra Wednesday broadcast this week coming from the zoo. So if you can't make it there, you're going to get to see a little bit of the zoo then. Live music is back in many restaurants. Check with them and be safe when you go out. But if you can patronize them, we're all having a time. I hope you've been ordering from them like I have. I've said I've gone past COVID-19 to COVID-25, maybe 30. But you have to make sure that we all get back through this together. Finally, I'd like to ask you, please, between now and Saturday evening, really listen to someone, truly learn from them, and love everyone. Good night.